All right, folks. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Cartographer community meeting, a weekly space to share the updates on the status of the project and also to answer questions from the community. Welcome, everyone. All right. Let me share my screen. All right. Okay, we'll put here my name. Feel free to do the same if you want. Oh, there you go. Formatting could be better. All right, welcome. New faces, not much. Welcome, Kartik, and welcome everyone. All right, the TLDR, what's in the project this week? I was exploring a little tool that probably none of you will actually use. That is Git Kraken. Back in the days, I took a Git training, and the first thing that they asked me to do was to install this tool. So I know it's not perfect, but it gives me some visual indications of activity last week in the repo. So I will say that what's in the project, a lot of activity on the options deliverable, right? Also a spike in orphans that it's also part of the agenda today. I also see activity around the live editor from Rush. That's awesome. And yeah, also moving RFCs, discussing RFCs, a lot of design work. But that was the summary from my point of view. Is that correct? Is that a good summary? What's new? What's been happening in the project last week?
Did you say options? We merged options.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you might have, but.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you. It's like orphans, like 8 or 5. Okay, there you go. That's interesting. We also had a board to track. Thank you, Kartik, for your suggestion. We are adapting and embracing the suggestion to have a board with different columns to track the status of RFCs. Let me share this here. So still work in progress, but it should help with getting to know in a first glance how what's pending in terms of introducing a new RFC to the team, to the community, and also what's in review, what needs to be discussed. Right.
I don't see the workload convention, or if it's called something else, in this project, or maybe just I missed it.
Yeah, it's RFC 17, if I don't remember. Let me see. Yeah, I can't find it, but yeah, as I mentioned, it's a work in progress. So adding issues, adding cart. What will be the right column for that? Is it in review?
That was going to be my question.
Yeah, it's more a question for the team.
This is convention service. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah.
I thought
it's marked as RFC.
Sorry.
I was just saying it's marked as an RFC, so it should be on this board somewhere.
Is that the one card to add at the top, add cards?
No, that's my dumb card. Yeah, I don't understand why it doesn't show up on this board. Unless it's like because it's accepted or something. I don't know. It's very weird because it's marked as an RFC in the issues and the PRs.
Yeah, thank you for the. Yeah, it's that one, but
I don't think I saw an issue for this actually, and maybe because it's just a PR. Like, do RFCs or that board only looks at issues? I don't know. I'm
No,
just,
that board's covered in PRs. That's what most of those things you see are.
oh,
Yeah.
I don't
It's
know.
RFC
Yeah.
17, and I'm just looking at what I can do to make it. Oh, no, yeah, it's
And
an
I
accepted.
just put it
accepted.
there. I just
Oh,
put it
okay,
there.
thank you.
Sorry, I was on mute trying to talk.
Oh,
I just, yeah, I searched and was able to find it. I don't know, like, did we accept it? I think we might have.
well, Shima did. No one else has actually put acceptance on it. So
Yeah.
maybe we could put it back in review and get some sign off.
Sure.
Thank you. Right. There it is. All right. And yeah, what team is working on? Well, we have another board. We stuff in development. So this is the summary of what team is covering right now, what team is doing. Right. So there are many work streams here. Any comment regarding this? Any addition to what team is working on?
Still working on that visualizer.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. Would you like to
Um,
share something? Or,
Yep, real quick.
yeah,
Share
stop here.
screen. So here it is, the really hacky visualizer. But if I autocomplete another item in the resources list and give it a name, has this tendency, unfortunately, to crash, which I'm still dealing with. So like I said, if I go to add one, my resource, however you want to name it. Oh, demo gods, there it is. And this one, make it a cluster source template. When I say that I want this one to receive perhaps an image, I can put in an image, and this is going to be, usually it's just called image, and then I can autocomplete. It's only image builder available, and it's visualizing as it goes. So ongoing progress.
Right, that's awesome. All right. There you go. Okay, for the discussion, because from previous meeting, I don't believe we had an action item to follow up. So first topic is Orphans, Emily and Marty.
Do you want to open up the issue? Thanks, David.
Yeah.
So we haven't, this is currently a bug or an issue. I don't know what we've have it labeled as, but basically when a resource selects a different template than, or even a different supply chain, I think, than what it currently was stamping out, we leave orphan objects behind. And there's a couple ideas for solutions. If you scroll up just a little bit, I think it was talked about in maybe a pre-IPM Ciro's comment there about, you know, all we need to do is basically find all the children. Well, that's not the easiest thing in the world to do. One way is to query all the API groups, and then each individual group search like for labels regarding that workload, and then compare that if those are objects still being stamped out, but that would be quite expensive. I can only imagine, depending on what is all on that cluster. And so one idea that we came up with yesterday was storing basically the template, or storing like the stamped object GVK and the template GVK in a config map in the namespace, and using that to get the information out so we can go and check all of the objects that have the labels of the workload. So we do a little bit of spike. We've put that in the issue, but we're definitely open to ideas of how we want to do this.
So I just posted a comment from Scott that he originally posted on RFC 18. If we tracked all the resources in the workload status, would that help us here?
We talked about that as an option as well, putting all the resources in the status. Yes, I think would be the answer.
Is that status only showing current or it's showing previously stamped out objects? Because if it's only current, that's not going to help us.
Well, whenever we go to update the current ones is when we go to garbage collect. So what would already be on there would be the previous one. So it would be good
We
enough.
pull it
right?
off and then clean up and then update the status.
Yeah. Yeah, we talked about, I mean, in our comment, I think we listed that as one of the options. Or if we didn't, we talked about it. We didn't, but we talked about doing that. If we're open to doing that, I mean, it's going to become a pretty potentially large list. But
A large list?
meaning if it's any object that the workload owns, that could be quite a few, right? Depending on your supply chain.
Well, I guess the point is that that we want that anyway in that RFC, so we could pop this back and block it on RFC 18 being accepted, because we want that form. We want to form a record of the resource kinds being created.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I've actually asked Scott to rip that comment out into a separate RFC. So it'd be completely separate from RFC 18. But
Then if that's the future, then
RFC, sorry.
I was gonna say, if that's the future, then we should definitely just block this issue.
Because it seems like a really good way to solve it, but the problem is that we would like a format that was settled on, right? Before we go adding it to the bottom of the workload.
yeah, for sure. For what it's worth, I think there's other things that are like waiting on something similar too. So it'd be nice to, get this formalized and then move forward with it. Seems like it solves a lot of our problems.
Then we will not spike on config maps in the namespace
I
or
assume
any other querying that is possible.
what you're saying didn't work was that you can't select by label across the board or in a
No.
namespace. You have to do it per GPK or at least
Yeah.
per API version. Yeah, okay, well, that sucks. Fair enough.
Yeah, there's a Stack Overflow link in the issue that points to how you would do it also.
Right.
Oh, we'll block.
Cool.
Okay. Great. Any other comment for in Orphans? No. Okay. Great. A couple of weeks ago, actually, we completed the health assessment of Cartographer against a set of OSS, let's say, guidelines from VMware Tanzu. I just wanted to provide a quick summary here, real quick. The goal here is to, improve a couple of areas here, or focus on a couple of areas. Well, indeed, this has an update. Back 2 weeks ago, we didn't have a passing grade on OpenSSF best practices. That's another another initiative, but we already have it. I will cover that a little bit. Release cadence, we already discussed that. The documentation, it has improved a lot. It's helping. And what we see that we are missing now, it's material that probably is not part of docs, material that covers how to install prereqs, tutorials, how-tos, and we are working on that with some other teams. So and also onboarding new contributors, that's a multi-step process, as I always say. It all starts with user adoption. But yeah, so far, since launch, it was 4 months ago. The active contributors base, it's kind of the same. We have some external contributions here and there, but the core base, it's still the regular team, and it will be like that for a while. Yeah, contributions. I just wanted to touch a little bit here. Yeah, this is the graph to say the same thing. A stable contributor base. Here. Yeah, we have this is the relationship, probably the graph in the center, the relationship between casual contributions and core. It's fairly normal, right? In these days, it's hard for someone to actually quickly become a maintainer for an open source project out there, especially people from the outside, and especially with our current governance model in Cartographer, it's impossible. So we will have a casual external contributors, and that will be the figure for the foreseeable future. Recognition of contributors, as I mentioned, is something that I've been pushing to do. I'm still waiting on Slack providers to complete their tasks so we can finally make public the initiative. And kind of that is the summary. Let me provide here also a quick update on best practices batch. We have achieved passing grade. This is the baseline. This is the minimum level of compliance against the OpenSSF best practices. For silver level, as we discussed, if I switch here to silver level, things are quite different. So we are missing several requirements that I will be tracking on issues so we can establish this as a midterm goal. There are things at passing grade that are optional. For example, I don't know, dynamic analysis, dynamic code analysis. It's optional. For silver is required. That's just an example. There are other things that are not technical that we already have. So that will be a next step to achieve silver level. But so far we have the minimum required by the OSPO office from VMware to have passing level criteria. So yeah, thank you, Zero, for your help here. All right. Thank you, Raj. Yeah, and my final intervention. Good first issues. Yeah, you're probably aware of a couple of PRs that I use. Benjamin Gutman, he sent a couple of PRs here, and the two of them are basically aimed to close the two good first issues that we have. We have labels. Let me see here. We have, as far as I can say, only two issues labeled as good first issues, and Benjamin sent PRs for both of them. This is good because as far as I can see, he's not a VMware employee, so that's awesome. The thing is that we will need more good first issues. We have more than 100 issues right now, and I'm kind of sure that there are at least a couple of them that could be labeled as good first issues. It's a good way to onboard new contributors. If you want to help, here, hey, this is the list of good first issues. So yeah, we'll rely on you if you can find time to probably go through the issue list and label issues that you could consider good first issues. Will be awesome. Yeah, on the docs. Also on the docs. There are many kinds of contributions. You know, yeah. Code contributions are one way of contribution. Not everyone has the skills to do that. So the goal is also to have. I'll keep adding non-code issues for potential contributors, like blog posts or helping on some formatting stuff for the site, for the docs, right, Rash? We were checking the styles for the site, and they need ramp up. Yeah, they need some improvements. So that will be a good example of a good first issue. Cool. Great. Okay, next thing, convention service.
Yeah, I put this on here. Where is it at? It's been, the RFC has been around for a while. I marked it approved. I'd encouraged others to do so as well. We had somebody drop in to ask, like, hey, how can I see a good example of config path? We've got this config template that's really just meant to wrap convention service. Yeah, the public's clamoring for it. What do we need to do to get this unblocked and to get this in the open?
It's also, from what you were saying, a good way to reduce the doesn't make sense examples, like config examples, especially, right? To improve, some work would be to improve our examples to something that doesn't create a config map and make everyone go, what's that for?
Yeah, like in terms of just, I guess there are a couple of things we could do. One, like Scott's proposing this, so he's one of the steering. I heard somebody use the term steering committee. I like it. He's a member of the steering committee, so he signed off on it. Right now, 2/3 of the people that have responded have approved. That's just one, me. But we could just like mark it approved and be like, hey, great. Rash.
Yeah, can I ask that we don't assume approval from one of the steering committee members who actually proposed an RFC? I would like to see Stephen approve it, thank you. Otherwise, that's just a way to say, yep. But that's, other than that, I think we can ask Stephen to approve it, all right? I think that's what we can. I think the rest of us are okay. Has anyone else got any arguments for or against it? Concerns about it?
I thought we all agreed that this was accepted. It just predates our current process.
I don't think there's been a meeting where we've said like, hey, it's accepted. But that's good to hear. It's accepted. Is there work that we need to do, or Scott needs to do, or somebody else needs to do, so that convention service actually exists in the open and we can start referring to it in our examples?
I thought we were waiting on Scott to like create a PR of the actual work. So like I agree. I thought this was already accepted and that he was going to then do work, and we were waiting on like it to come in via a different repo, I believe, right?
Yeah, he did say that he wanted to do the work too. And I think that's, maybe one of us needs to ask him if he needs some help getting that across the line, so that we can then, from there on in, treat it as something that's a part of our domain, provenance.
Yeah, cool. Volunteer to
I'm happy to just slack him and be like, hey,
okay.
Anything we can do to help move this into the open?
Okay, that's
think-
great.
I think if we could just say that get this into Cartographer, because it is already open, just needs to be.
Okay.
Thanks.
It is up. It is.
No,
No?
it's not.
Oh, really? Oh, I'm sorry. I lie.
Yeah,
Into the
okay.
open then. Yep.
Into the open cartographer. That's good.
I thought the repo was public. My bad.
No, not yet. All right. Thank you. Yeah, quick logistics question. I see that next Monday will be an observed holiday in the US and Canada, I believe. So office hours. Should we aim to move it to Tuesday? Right? Okay. I will
please.
find. Cool. Yeah, I will find time calendars and reschedule next week's meeting. Cool.
Thanks.
All right, Mr. Kartik, TC issue that might help cartographer in TC issue. Could you explain that, please?
Yeah, I can. It's a little recurring or meta there, I guess. So yeah, if you open that, I think maybe I'll like back up first. I think I've spoken with Zero about this, but the way sort of I think Cartographer publishes the package YAML and related image package bundle in a particular spot right now for Cartographer, and for the work to bring Cartographer as a package in terms of Community Edition, it would require potentially Cartographer team to relocate the image packet bundles to the sort of the TCE registry. Please keep me honest if I mess up, but there was a TCE issue if you open that, David, that's linked there, that is meant to not require upstream projects to do that, and rather have the TCE project take the onus to like copy the package into whatever TCE repository. That was my understanding. I could be totally wrong about it though. So I just wanted to like surface this up and share with you all to see if this makes the overall process easier on your side. That's all.
Yeah, I haven't really looked deep into this this other method, but I think talking to with the team, I think we end up saying that it would make sense actually to have a separate repo for like just the packaging, especially because like if you look at the way that we publish now releases, we always create a draft on every commit that lands on main. And because we like in the process of releasing is literally like making that draft become an actual release, our packages end up being all tagged like 0.0.0-dev, which Scott created an issue about. And I don't know, I think it makes sense to separate into different repo. I remember like in Concourse itself, like we had Concourse is like the OSS big repo where the source code lived, but then we had a repo for Bosch releases, another repo for the Helm chart, so that like the efforts of packaging live in a place, the efforts of just code lives in a separate place. And particularly, I don't know, it's a thing that makes sense, works good.
Sounds good. Yeah, I just want to surface, but cool. Right. I gotta go, but that was all from me. Thank you. Gotta go.
Thank you, Courtney. All right, folks. Anything else to discuss here to share? No? Okay. Thank you for joining and see you next week. Have a nice day.